Hello everyone, it's me Melissa from the Ranting Shop, and I wanted to just come in here to talk a little bit more about the upcoming cast of Ready to Love DC, which is premiering on Friday, I believe October 15th, or would it be Saturday? Sometimes I get the times confused because I live in the East. I don't live in the West. So anyways, we're gonna speak a little bit about some of these characters that we have coming onto the show. But I just wanted to point out, did you guys see the casting special? Because the guest host happened to be Liz and Jason, and this is in the midst of people finding out that they might potentially have broken up. So they may have been together at the point that they were filming this special, because they film months in advance. But as of now, they are no longer together. They are no longer following each other. Miss Kamisha Reviews broke some very hot tea about the fact that they could have potentially had sexual relations, which essentially compromises the Liz had for her partner. She wanted her partner to be able to deal with the fact and respect the fact that she wanted to have sex after marriage. But just looking at Jason and Liz's relationship, to me, it never looked as if it would stand the test of time. It did not look as if Jason was ready to wait possibly years before he had sexual relations with Liz. And if you hear they speak about the situation of sex, because Tommy does ask them about whether they broke their rule not to have sex or not, and you could see that they're extremely uncomfortable, and they took a lot of time before they responded and said, it's been difficult, but I've respected her wishes. Now, Kamisha is saying that they crossed that boundary and ended up having sex, and the way or the dynamic of their relationship is very much like a mother and a son, which everybody already could get the vibe from just based on their interaction and everything that we saw from them. She just came across very motherly next to Jason, and even the friends picked up on that. And Kamisha was saying that the friends were actually repeating Jason's own sentiment about Liz. It wasn't something they came up with on their own. It was simply them repeating Jason's sentiments, and the whole symbolism of the white rose and that being only given to his mothers in his life. And that kind of solidified that he sees Liz as a mother figure to him, and he was treated like a child with her, allegedly. So for whatever reason, they're no longer together, and that is that. Now, of course, I'm thinking that they would ride it out, because with the success of their relationship would come the publicity, would come the hosting opportunities, because they get this one good partnership coming out of 5 seasons. And of course, they're gonna show it off by any means necessary, but little did they know, and did we know at the time, that they were not going to last that long. Now, I was never surprised, but a lot of people was holding on to hope that they would be able to make it. But I just feel like sometimes we have to just accept the inevitable. It never looks like it was going to work. Jason is not as religious as Liz, and if we don't know, for a successful relationship, especially in the church or with one partner being faith-based, it's very important for the other partner to equally be as faith-based, because if not, they become unequally yoked, and unequally yoked relationships is just a cause for potential drama in the later stages, or maybe even the early stages of the relationship. So, anyways, there was that. Now we're gonna go to the contestants. So we have Frank. We spoke about Frank. I think he's part Ghanaian and part American. He has a very interesting nose, very interesting face. He kind of has it reminds me of sort of Ethiopian features as far as his nose is concerned. He has a very weird looking nose. But anyways, he said his last relationship lasted for 4.5 years, and she didn't cherish the man he was becoming. He says he likes or wants a social butterfly and also a homebody in his partner. So what he was saying is he needs somebody that can work the room and that will also be able to just settle down in for the weekend in the house or whatever the case may be. He was mentioning also that he does what he wants and he does a lot. He's the owner of a drink brand called Drunk Kombucha or Drunking Kombucha. Let me just take a look just to make sure that I'm saying the name of the company correctly. It's called Daring Kombucha Cocktails, and he's the owner of that. And yeah, so this is what I've gathered from Frank. He has a podcast, and I've never quite listened to it, but I will, to hear like his thoughts on various topics. But he definitely has a podcast as well. Then we have Corey, and Corey says he's been on 100 dates in 12 months. Now, I don't know if that's anything for him to be boasting about, but he felt the need to boast about it. Actually, what it really tells me is that he is a red flag and that he doesn't really seem to be dating intentionally. He just seems to be dating for one thing, and he gets that thing and he just moves on to the next. He says that most of his conversations were copy paste conversations. He mentioned that he's only good at the first date, and after that first date it tends to go downhill from there, and that's another red flag. Why is it that you're only able to keep up appearances during the first date? Maybe it can also be a good thing, because then you start to really see him for him, and apparently seeing him for him is not that appealing after the first date. He talks about his deal breakers being disrespect. He doesn't like a woman that checks his phone. He doesn't like women who let themselves go. And I mentioned that he reminds me of the guy from last season, Troy, the very disgusting Troy who was going around kissing all these women and promising them trips. He gives me that same vibe. His look is very deceiving, as I said before, and conniving, and it just looks like he'll be telling tales to a lot of the women, and I just hope they catch up on it. He very much gives me womanizer vibes. He says he's 6 feet, he has 6 figures, and he has a 6-pack. Good for you. Like, I'm the type of person that's not impressed by people's money. Like, you could have $1 million. That's really not my business. If it's not my $1 million, I really could care less about your money. But a lot of men feel like when they flaunt money, it makes them more attractive. If you're gross, you're always going to be gross. Whether you're a rich gross person or a poor gross person, you're gross, period. And Corey seems to be somebody that I feel like is overconfident. He's the type of person that will talk about how good he's gonna give it to you, all types of stuff, and then you go and, you know, out of curiosity, you're like, oh, let me try, and then it's just complete trash. That's what he gives me. Then anyways, we have Phil. Phil was in a relationship for 2.5 years. He mentioned she had to make a decision, so I'm guessing that he wanted to get married and she wasn't sure that she wanted to get married to him, so he didn't want to wait for her to make a decision, so he left. He's been single for 1 year, and he wants the Michelle and Barack Obama type of relationship. Now, these cast members always talk about Michelle and Barack Obama type relationship, and they're just not even giving off the Barack energy. So you want a Michelle, but you're not giving off Barack energy. It has to be a situation where you give off that energy so that you attract the Michelle that you want. You can't not be a Barack and expect a Michelle. So anyways, Phil, that was Phil. I don't have really too much to say about Phil, other than I wonder what he was doing that made the woman so indecisive about getting married. It could very well not be anything that he did, but it kind of makes me curious as to why was she having some hesitancy towards him, because nobody isn't perfect, and if you let them tell their story, they will always be the innocent one in their own stories. Anyways, we have Shiloh, a woman, and Shiloh, I believe, is a Trinidadian, so she's from the Caribbean. She says in her experiences, men are not open. 2 years ago, she dated a married man without her knowledge. She mentions with her, you have to expect the unexpected. She's very unpredictable, very what do you call an animal that just does things not instinctive, but just in regards to just doing what they impulsive perhaps. I hope she's able to see through BS, because it doesn't seem as if she's that good at picking out BS from truth. So I hope she's not bamboozled, although I'm not gonna be surprised if she does get bamboozled. I hope she doesn't though. Then we have Courtney. Courtney says she's a lot to handle, but she's worth the headache. And I said, why would she market herself as a pit bull? A lot of women like to act like, oh, you can't handle me, as if that's something to praise, or if that's something to be proud about. You should be able to handle your own self. You should be able to deal with your own emotions in an adult and mature way. Nobody should have to handle you, because I'm pretty sure if you were handled, it would be another situation. Now, she spoke about dating a man, and from that relationship she became a mom, and the single free 25-year-old that she used to be, she's no longer that. New parents, they have to change the way that they live their lives to accommodate their kid. She says she likes older men. She wants them to be tall, dark, and handsome, and she wants no shy guys, because she feels like she will be too much for a shy guy. And based on the little clip of her rubbing Cornelius's leg, I definitely think that she's not shy. So I suppose she just wants someone to match their energy. Courtney, to me, gives a little bit of... She seems as if she's gonna be trouble, because you see her confronting two guys about basically taking her for a fool. So she's not one to play with. Then we have Camille. Camille is a performing arts teacher. She says she has a habit of playing games with men, making them feel like they're in relationships with her, and then suddenly she decides she doesn't want to be in it anymore. So I said she sabotages potential relationships, possibly out of fear of getting hurt. She has a son, and she's been engaged 3 times. That's a big red flag. So basically, I put red flags on Corey, Shiloh, Courtney, and Camille thus far. She found it hard to give love when she wasn't loving herself fully, and that's often the case. We jump from relationship to relationship, and we don't do the work on ourselves. We don't try to figure out how to make ourselves better mentally, physically, in all aspects, how to make ourselves happy. We go into relationships because we think, oh, the other person should be responsible for our happiness, but that is never the case. It's always with us. It starts with us. And I do hope that Camille has done the work on herself so that she does not sabotage any good relationships coming out of this show, even though I'm highly skeptical that we're gonna find any success stories in this particular season. But We have yet to see. Let's find out. Then we have Cornelius, and Cornelius is the electrical engineer. He was in a relationship last year, and he wants to get back into church because he thinks that lack of church has affected his discernment. He's seen his parents together for 38 years and he wants that too. So his approach is he wants to hold off on sex, and hopefully that will grant him the clarity to see someone beyond lust or beyond physical attraction. I really hope it works with Cornelius. A lot of people find Cornelius attractive. He's not my cup of tea, but people are saying that he's been capping for his friend Carrington, and we all are gonna get to Carrington in a bit. We have a lot of information to spill on Mr. Carrington. When a friend tends to try to defend their friend, knowing or not knowing the bad things that their friends have done, just blindly defending them, that is a problem. That is a major problem, because it seems as if you're gonna go for any or justify anything simply because somebody is your friend. And I'm in the mind that you should be able to, as a friend, tell your friend when he's wrong. You should be able to be on the side of right as opposed to on the side of I'm gonna ride for you despite. That should never be the case. But anyways, we have Momenta. Momenta seems really fun. She has the most followers out of everybody in this group. She has a staggering 56.9 thousand followers, subscribers, including new people that have followed her because she's gonna be on the show. Now, unlike other cast members who have put Ready to Love, Will Parker, all these things in their bio, Momenta has not done that. She's only posted one thing about the upcoming show, just one thing, and that is it. She's not tagged anyone, she's not posted anything in her bio, which makes me think that she's not necessarily coming on the show for the maybe she is coming for exposure, but she's also more so coming for a connection. That's my interpretation, because she is in show business. So I'm thinking that the exposure will do her well, but she has the most followers, so I'm thinking she does not really, or is not relying on the show for exposure. She already has quite a bit. Momenta is a singer and she sounds really good, and I'm gonna post a clip of Momenta singing A Whole New World. A dazzling place I never knew, but when I'm way up here, it's crystal clear that now I'm in a whole new world with you. Unbelievable sights, indescribable feelings, soaring, tumbling, freewheeling through an endless. She's fallen for the wrong guy before. Spirituality is important to her. She doesn't lead with it, which is a good thing, because a lot of the time when you lead with spirituality, you end up cutting a lot of people off, because just the whole idea of spirituality tends to turn people off a bit. So I'm happy that she doesn't quite lead with it, but she is gonna bring it up eventually. She wants an independent thinker who's a go-getter, and I completely understand what she means, because too many times people follow other people's thoughts and feelings and they have none of their own. There's nothing more sexy and attractive than someone who can think on their own and have their own independent thoughts and form their own analysis or thesis about different topics. It is also a sign of intelligence and a sign of your great analytical and critical thinking skills. So I think after that was when they asked about the sex question with Liz and Jason, and they gave a very awkward response. Just the fact that they took so long to respond, I think that they had already had sex by that point. Anyways, Aisha is 38 years old, was with her husband for 11 years, and then he began to cheat. So she decided she wanted nothing to do with it. So she took her 2 kids and she split. She left. You know, unlike Courtney, Aisha wants a shy guy, and she seems like she has a lot of personality, and she's very bold, and she's not afraid to say how she feels, because she's talking about she wants a man to be able to kiss her when her breath stinks. She wants somebody who's not afraid to lick. She's not afraid to lick his face and all these types of freaky things. So Miss Aisha is definitely gonna be one to look out for. And as I said before, she grabs your attention with her blonde wigs and her colorful outfits. She's a hair salon owner, and she happens to be very popular in the area that she resides in, because she does lots of hair shows, and she also is a makeup artist. Even though I feel like the hair to me is not the best I've seen, and the makeup is also not the best I've seen, but that is her profession. Perhaps she does a better job on people than she does on herself. We see Aisha getting into some problems with some women, and we also see that she's on Frank's lap, on top of Frank's. She's on in a scene with Frank, you know. She's also been seen with Carrington, and I hope she doesn't go there with Carrington, but she's gonna be there for a while. She's definitely one of the people that is gonna be there for a while on the show. Then we have Walter. Walter is a reformed thug. He was married for 1.5 years, but he was together with his spouse for 9 years. And I said that he seems like just another player, and I believe he's gonna be caught up in some lies as well. His wife passed away in 2003 from ovarian cancer, possibly. The grass is greener where you water it, is what he says. So a lot of people think that, oh, when I get married, it's gonna be sunflowers and rainbows, when actually the happiness stems from wherever you're at. It's not a situation you have to wait to feel, you know. So that makes a lot of sense. The grass is greener wherever you water it. And yes, his mom died, his wife died, so he is a widow, and that's really sad. And Tommy asked a very important question, and he asked whether it is people that have experienced the tragic passing of a partner, are they more ready than just somebody who just maybe has been dating and been unsuccessful? That may not necessarily be true, because I find a lot of the time people either take 2 routes. They either say, oh, let me just jump back in because I love being married and I want to feel that again and I don't want to be alone. Or they go with the approach of, oh, I was a F-boy before, I'm gonna go right back to being that F-boy, because they are not ready to face another tragedy again. So Walter definitely seems like he's gonna be into some things on this show, as I said before. Let me see how much time we have. I don't want this to be too long. What I think I might do is break this into 2 parts. So this is the first part, and then I'm gonna do the next part in the next episode. So let me know what you guys think so far, and stay tuned, because the next post or the next video is gonna be coming directly afterwards, where we're gonna get into some juicy details about Mr. Carrington. See you guys later. Bye.